business terms are in great shape. There were just a few provisions in the agreement that flowed in favor of the vendor that I wanted them to reciprocate for the benefit of the town. I'll see if I can't pull it up here. And also there was a limitation on liability provision that limited the amount that the vendor would be required to pay the town in the event of a loss or a lawsuit. That was limited to, I believe, their fees, the total amount of the vendor's fees in 1 year of the contract. And the town might not want to limit the vendor's liability in the event of a catastrophic occurrence. So just a few little nits and gnats like that, that we should be able to square away pretty easily.
And if he doesn't get on, we'll move on because we've got a full slate anyway. But just looking at this, and I just want to get a temperature of the board if you guys are interested in this, because we probably got to do something. It's out of service right now, and I didn't want to go out and throw that kind of money away again with a company that we really isn't really responsive to us. But we need to move forward tonight some way, and I just wanted to get what you guys thought.
Assuming with the issues that Bridget raised that I think we can get squared away, I think 5 years is a reasonable term to get the equipment for free and then give them a look-see. And, and as we had discussed, we'll get reimbursed for our electricity usage.
Yep.
And then, so we're a break even at worst or no cost. And then there might be some benefit down the road somewhere, but that's not really the big thing. I think that's a good service to our residents. And if we can provide it at no cost, I don't see an issue.
I thought he said, Jim, in those meetings that we had with him, that he said at some point anyway, we would get 10% of the profit.
He did.
Yeah.
He
So,
did.
I mean, we should, as you say, we should get a few pennies out of it. Not
It's
that
in
we're looking
the
for that,
contract that we would. Okay.
Yeah.
Not that it I
It
don't
won't
think
be-
that's the intent of the board, but
Yeah.
the fact, if we did any other stations, then it gets to be a little more complicated because they have quite of an investment in putting the infrastructure in with meters and wires and everything else, concrete and everything else they got to do. So they want like a 15-year contract, but we can't bind future boards over 5 years. So then it gets in a case where you can do 5-year terms, but if you don't renew, then the village or the town is on the hook for whatever money they didn't make in those 15 years. Could be $20,000 per emergency. So those will investigate because there might be other grants, like you said.
And I would assume a lot more solutions along those lines are going to come online over the next couple of years as this becomes more economically viable.
Sure. What do you think, Chuck? Luke?
I think it's a good move. I think they cover all the expenses. I think it's frankly a no-brainer. We have no out-of-pocket expense.
Jim?
Yeah, I think it's a good deal as well, and I think 5 years should be the limitation. And then when we, with the concerns that Bridget raised, I have those same concerns, but it looks like the limitation of liability also, there's a mutual indemnification. So if they do something that's negligent and it causes injury to somebody, that for some reason the town has to pay, that they're going to be responsible for reimbursing us. So I think whatever language I think can be tweaked or fixed, that would be great. But otherwise, the 5 years, it's a service to the town. Like Chuck said, it's pennies, but it's a service to the town.
Yep.
Pennies for us.
So, Bridget, if you can, what I got wasn't read out, so I didn't know what you changed. If you can send that again to me, and then I don't know what happened to him tonight, but he's not coming on. I can send it to him, and I don't know if we can we vote on this tonight, contingent upon those changes, or
I'd prefer to wait 2 weeks. I mean, I know we want to get that back up and running, but I'm a little disappointed the guy's not here. That would give me a little bit more warm and fuzzy.
yeah. I am too.
And I think they're, going to have their own suggestions as well. So let's see where we are in 2
Okay.
weeks. Give them
All
a,
right. Just
give them
so
a
that
green
the-
light
yeah,
to work on it with the contract changes, and let's see where we are in 2 weeks.
just so the residents are aware that it'll be another couple of weeks that that's out of service. So. All right. Then we'll move on to 2, which is the rezoning of 4479 Transit Road. The present zoning classification of the property is residential, agricultural, and the present use of the property is a single-family residence. And the proposed use is a single-family residence with an in-law apartment. Is there anybody here from that? Jeffrey or Amy? No. Okay. So they're looking to rezone this or get a variance. And we generally refer this to the planning board. So if anybody has any questions or just put it on the agenda for that. Okay.
I guess why are they asking for rezoning rather than a variance?
So the property is rural residential. It doesn't allow for a dwelling group. That's really what they're looking for. 2 separate residences on the same parcel. Dwelling groups are only allowed in an R3 or an agricultural zoning district. So their 2 options are available to them are to request a rezoning of their property or to request a use variance through the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yeah, just my thought here is that it's going to be very difficult for me to get to rezoning this agricultural to put 2 buildings on there instead of 1. We don't want to make our zoning decisions based on 1 applicant. So if that goes to the planning board, I have hesitation on that. I think the use variance is the way to go there. That's the mechanism, not a rezoning, which affects more than just that 1 zone.
Can that be done with a use variance?
There are 2 options available to them are to request a rezone or a use variance.
Okay.
This is the option they chose.
What would be the reason? Why would they go that path?
I couldn't speak to as to why they
Mhm.
chose this path, but those are the only 2 options available to them.
I kind of agree with Luke on that. But they're not here to answer those questions, so we'll refer to the planning board and then see what they say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just if we do want to talk to them, I'm really hesitant to do that. The mechanism is the use variance. So go to the ZBA.
We'll refer it to the planning board and we'll go on. Number 3 is a rezoning application fee increase, and this is from Martha. She wants us to consider increasing the fee that the town charges for rezoning applications from $35 to $100 or $150. The time spent on processing the application, publishing notices, notifying nearby property owners, having the documents reviewed by GHD, code enforcement, town attorney, et cetera, warrants an increase in the fee. Your thoughts?
I was just asking, what are other towns similar to Aurora or even to any other towns charging as far as you know?
Anywhere from $100 to $500.
I guess we're a little behind.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, how many rezoning applications do we get? That can't be that many, right?
It goes in spurts. A couple of years ago, we had like 2 or 3. Last year, we had 1. This year, we have 1 so far.
Gotcha. It makes sense to me.
Well,
I think the 150 myself is still more than reasonable. That's a lot of work.
It's because it's a rezoning, it's not a, like you said, on the last case of variance, a possible variance, which is still work, but I think it's quite as much.
Yeah.
all good with that?
Is 150 sufficient?
150?
Is 150 sufficient?
Oh, well, you said anywhere from 150 to 500.
Well, that's other towns. West Seneca is 500. The average is 125.
So I think 150 would be right in line.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, number 4, special use permit for 612 Seneca Street or Buffalo Road. Oh, my here, 612.
Yep, that's the one.
Okay.
Evangelina's.
Anyone here for that? Oh, yeah, okay. Come on up.
Oh, John.
Good evening, how you doing?
Okay, good, how you doing?
What we're trying to do is.
Could you speak into the mic?
Sorry.
Give us your name.
You can take it out of there if you want.
You can just take it right out and hold it if you want.
You can
My name's-
dance too.
I'm
if
John,
you'd
I'm a
like.
manager from Angelina's. All
Right up, yeah, there you go.
right, a little nervous about this.
No, no, it's all
Don't be
right.
nervous.
We just can't hear you if you don't do that.
So what we're trying to do is we have a special use permit for live music on Fridays and Saturdays, and we're just trying to get an extra day for Thursdays amended onto that if we can. This past week, we had a live music there on Thursday, and Liz helped us out with being able to have that because we weren't aware that we weren't allowed to have music on Thursdays. So we're just trying to allow that. I mean, they were done. We had a Strictly Hip band there. They were actually done by 10 o'clock. So. And
This is live music?
Yes,
Indoors or outdoors?
outdoors.
Now, this is a pretty quick bounce back because we just did the original special use permit a couple months ago.
Yes.
And you had limited the music in respect of the neighbors.
Yes.
So if we had any feedback from neighbors, if you guys had any feedback from neighbors?
We've had a couple people on the patio so far. We haven't had any complaints or anything from any of the neighbors that are close by that we're aware of.
Liz, have you gotten any?
I've not.
Yeah, Martha? No?
Nothing in my office.
Nothing from you, Jim?
This was the first time that they had music on a Thursday night.
Yeah,
When I spoke to Ben, who couldn't be here due to a conflict tonight, he said that this isn't something that they would do every single week. And more than likely, it would be a smaller group outside on Thursday nights. But they were just hoping to increase their draw at their location with some occasional Thursday nights.
and refresh my memory, what night does it end on Friday nights?
What time is it?
The
on?
music, yeah,
By 11.
by 11.
Yeah.
Is,
And Thursday would be
That-
10?
that's something, yeah.
I mean,
You don't have a time on here. is
we
that-
don't have a
that I
time. I
saw.
mean,
Yep, no time on the application, so yeah.
okay.
We
I mean,
have
if we can do 11 as well, I mean, most of the time it doesn't go to 11, but I mean, it's usually ends around 10:30.
I think 11 is quite a bit, is a little late. You know, it's a school night.
Understand.
Which way does that stage face? Does it face the rear of the property or towards that agape building?
It's at the back end of the volleyball court, so it faces the building from the back
Gotcha.
end.
I mean, I really would like to have the opportunity for neighbors to speak about this. It's one thing to have a Friday and it's another thing to have a Thursday. And I know it's going to take another 2 weeks, but is it possible that we can send a letter to the neighboring landowners and ask if they've had any concerns? Because I wouldn't complain if it happened on a Friday, but maybe it would be a concern on a Thursday. And I think that's a reasonable concern. So I would like to give them an opportunity to have, to speak about this.
The closest residential neighbors are in the town of Elma.
They're people too. Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're not people too,
Yeah.
but typically we notify the municipality when requests are on a bordering on a town.
So in that case, we
Notify
should
Alma, and then they
notify
would
Elma.
Notify their residents, and then we would notify the ones that are on our side.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea if it's not bothering anybody. We want to see that business thrive. We really want to do it, but we don't want to, we really don't. A Thursday is a little bit different thing than a Friday night.
I understand.
And yeah,
You guys think?
If you, I know you have the permit to do music on Friday and Saturday nights. Is that something that you're going to continue throughout the summer?
Yes.
Okay. So if we wanted to stop by and just kind of.
Of course, sir.
Would it be, do you think it would be, I appreciate that you maybe are not going to have it every single Thursday night.
No,
Would it be a
it's-
similar type of band, similar type of music on Thursday that you have on Friday and Saturday.
For the most part, yes.
I gotta agree with Luke myself. I think we should, even if we just table it for tonight there, I'll stop up to the neighbor to the north. That's pretty much the closest one there. And just see if there's any issues. So,
Yeah, so you're going to do a stop by yourself, Chuck? Is that what you said?
or you and I can.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying that's very generous
Sure.
of you.
Yeah.
It'll save us the postage. So yeah, I'm going to go along with that consensus too. Give it 2 weeks. You guys just applied for your special use permit. You didn't mention Thursdays.
Okay.
So I think we should do our due diligence and
No problem.
Yeah. Again, if there's no concern, it hasn't been a problem, then sure, that's a great idea. But we do have to respect the concern of the neighboring landowners. So
Completely understand. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wanna go, Luke, if you can.
If you know,
I'll be gone this week,
appreciating you didn't realize that the Thursday nights weren't available to you. Do you have bands booked for Thursday during the summer right now?
I mean, we can put them inside if that's for now until we get approved for anything. We can put them inside for our Thursday ones. We only have a couple Thursdays. They're acoustics that are on for the side patio.
Okay.
They're not for the stage. They're on the side set up for like the side patio.
And maybe we can ask Ben if he comes back here in a couple of weeks, but do you anticipate any problem if we limited it to a certain time rather than 11 o'clock like you have right now?
No, that's fine. We can work around it. We can schedule earlier and then they can play a little later or, play till 10 o'clock or whatever time you are allowed to.
Thank you, John.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, we have the temporary use permit for the Polo at the next farm. They, last time they did this was pre-COVID. And then they're outfit out of Canada. So they couldn't come over the last couple of years. So this will be the first one. They've already paid us in advance for this year. Chris, you looked through the application, everything looked good?
Everything looks good to me. Doesn't look like they've changed many things since the past time they've done it. I know you and I have touched base in terms of parking. I don't think there's an issue with that, not crossing the roads, do a nice job of parking themselves. It's about 100 or so horses that are gonna be out.
And Jordan is gonna zoom in. Oh, you're here. Oh, great. Why don't you come up to the mic, Jordan? Thank you for coming. I thought you were gonna Zoom tonight.
Mary Ann Portras, who
Oh.
represents Kevin Guesthouse, is going to zoom in.
Okay.
if you needed to
And
join.
I told her to zoom in during the meeting because I thought we had someone else zooming in
Oh, that's
earlier,
okay.
but they never zoomed.
That's okay. Hello,
So-
everyone. I'm Jordan Stevenson, and in the past, I have been the chair of this event. This year, it'll be a little modified to one day so that next year we can build into our 2-day event. This year, we're going to be partnering with Kevin Guesthouse, who is the oldest hospitality house in the country. They're on Ellicott Street in Buffalo. They provide invaluable services to people who need hospitalization for little to no money to the people that they're serving. And they're such a great organization. And as you know, we do this for a charity every year, pretty much. So this year it'll be modified to a tailgate event only. They'll play for a few hours and we'll be done. So I see the whole event maybe 11 people will probably start to park. Noon will kick off. They'll play for roughly 2 hours and we'll be done by like 3 o'clock.
Will you
We're-
have someone to park the cars? Just kind of tell
Yes, we'll
me.
have some volunteers help
Okay.
us park the cars, just to make sure. I actually was going to talk to some of those details are still to be fleshed out, whether if we like set up certain parking areas for people so that they can just go and park specifically, so we don't have to have as many volunteers parking them. But they'll be lined up right along the field and with Phil Vanderberg from Canada to make sure that the people are set far back away enough from the sidelines.
Sure.
Yep.
Questions?
Sorry. All right. Chris, so the soccer doesn't use the actual polo fields proper, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, they might use it for practices from time to time.
But there's no field set up between those wooden boards there, I don't think.
I thought
There's no more
the Arsenal, the younger Arsenal used
Yes.
it.
How do they?
They do, which is
Okay.
why we have to have a permit for it. It's not an all-time use
Right.
of the polo.
But I saw that Pete's Orgy seemed to be okay with it. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
our sauce is okay. We just did raw beef, and to the best of my knowledge, Dave's crew was able to take care of that. And taking care of theirs as well.
And I've talked to Dave already. He and I have had a conversation. He's very familiar with the event.
You said it would be similar like or you called it a tailgate. Every year there's a tent and there's food served on the south end of the field. In this permit, you said, you indicated that there would be no food. Is there still going to be a tent? Is there going to be something?
No, this will just be, we're encouraging people to bring their own picnics.
Okay.
And we may sell, like a snack with like a VIP type event for the ticketing. But we're not going to, this is such short notice. I spoke with Phil and Jim barely 3 weeks ago. It's not enough time to get enough sponsors, to get enough people to pay for the tent and everything else. What we're hope is to have this event this year so that we can generate interest even for next year. We already have Land Rover at Buffalo on board, and I have Colbacks Construction as a lead sponsor. And I'm reaching out to the Keller family, who has supported us nearly every year. And I do have a lot of people that are interested. We know we can't put on the event that we would want to in a short 30 days. And Kevin Guesthouse already has so many events planned for this year, but they want the opportunity to be a part of this for next year.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good. And you said you coordinated with Dave Gunner?
I already talked to Dave.
Good.
Yep. Already talked to Dave,
Good.
and he'll talk to Phil, and
Good.
as we get closer, we'll have more conversation.
It's good to get back in the saddle,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Everybody likes to come play. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We're gonna-
It just comes out, the natural.
Get Jim.
That's good.
All right.
Jim? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's not-
That's from Kevin Guesthouse.
Oh,
Jordan, we still need an insurance certificate from the Polo. We've got one from Kevin Guesthouse.
That is, they are the ones that they are representing on the application. Kevin
They're the
Guesthouse.
applicant.
It's their insurance.
Yeah.
I am
Okay.
not, they are an LLC. I'm not an LLC. I'm an individual proprietor. So the charity, just as in past, when the Friends of Knox Farm or, the Knox had an LLC previously. So that's why we're going through the charity. And my hope is that the charity will put this event on in perpetuity.
Oh, so they're basically the ones that are hosting. That good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next 6 is the building department software, and I'm sure Liz has got a lot to talk about.
Well, there's a lot of information submitted with the memo, but basically what we're looking to do is change from the current software program that we have, Williamson Law Book, which is functional, but it is not where we would like it to be. So Jen has been investigating several different platforms that are available. And we've narrowed it down to the one that we would prefer, which is Cloud Permit. A lot of the details are in there for you. I did meet today with Jim and Kathleen and Nick, our IT professional, so that we could talk out some additional questions that they have. So tonight, really all I'm looking for is any other questions that you may have, or once you've had an opportunity to review all the information, you can email those to us so that we can get it to you so that we can perhaps talk about how we can budget for this in the future. The memo from Cloud Permit, says that it's a June, start date or anything like that, but I'm not looking to start in June. That would be particularly difficult during our busy season. I'm hoping to do a conversion if we move forward in the last quarter of the year so that by January 1, we are on the new system entirely.
Do we have the hardware to be able to do this with enough users, or are we gonna have to invest in that as well?
We have all of the hardware that we would need initially. So this program can go on unlimited, can be set up for unlimited users. So it can be on all of our desktops. It can be on both of our tablets, and it can be on every cell phone that we have available. And right now with Williamson Law, we pay per device. So we currently have it on 3 desktops and 1 tablet. So we don't need any additional information or any other hardware at this point in time. And then everything is hosted in the cloud.
Liz, because this is, it is quite an expense.
Correct.
Somewhere in the area of $16,000 a year to operate. Could you do a study of what we're charging for permits and comparatively to other towns and all the fees that in your office and maybe, I know we just talked about one that we're way behind and maybe that would help offset the cost a little bit.
Yeah, Jen has begun that process. Martha has asked us to do that as well for site plans because we are way behind the times on site plan review fees and that sort of thing. So it is something that we've been working on. Additionally, we don't currently charge for fire inspections, but those are activities of our office that are now clearly spelled out within the new code that perhaps will be adopted in the very near future, Chapter 65. So that is something that we can also look into potentially adding to our fee schedule. Other municipalities do charge in the area. So those are things that we can look at to assist with that. But ultimately what this will do is it'll take our current software, it'll take our Google Calendar, it'll take our antiquated spreadsheet for fire inspections and put it all in one system so that we're all operating out of the exact same software program so that everybody's aware at all times. And it's functional in the field on everything from a cell phone to, if you had a full laptop, you could do that. But we're looking to increase the process flow in our office. We're looking to take the office side input requirements that Jen has to, when we receive all of the permits, she has to input all that information in the system. This will have a public facing side so that contractors, homeowners, that sort of thing can input their permits on their own time and add all the required documents that we say are required in order to get a permit. And then they can check it periodically to see what they're missing, see what the review outcome is, and to find out what their permit costs are.
Councilman McCann and myself were in on a couple of those meetings anyway, Liz. And as I recall, you had mentioned that the way your system is now, when you get done with an inspection and so on, you have to come back and manually enter all of that information from each job. And this will just make you much more efficient.
Right. We can enter it out in the field at that point in time. The other part of it is our current system, we can kind of do that, but what it doesn't allow us to do is to locate a property in the field if we don't have the legal property address. So let's say it's a vacant lot, that there's a brand new shed on there, which there is one in town. And, I have to remember, okay, it's between this house and this house is where this lot is. Get back to the office and then determine what property that is, who put a shed on their property without a permit and going forward. Whereas with Cloud Permit, I can pull up a map, the GIS map from the county will be integrated into the system and pull it up then immediately and say, okay, they did not have a permit for it. We have to send them a notice that they need a permit for it and can do that immediately.
Yeah.
I also recall, I believe that the builders and even a homeowner could fill out their own application and it would indicate if they're incomplete. So it's less trips for the public and for, contractors back and forth to the building department because they can do it online themselves.
Right. And the way that it's set up is that all the required documents or the required information fields, if they're not completed, then the application doesn't get submitted. And currently the way that it happens is that they bring it all in, it gets reviewed, and then we tell them what they're deficient on. So, the onus becomes on us to tell them exactly what's missing, whereas a public facing portal, they'll know exactly what they're missing. If it's their insurance certificate, or if it's a drawing for whatever project they're doing, or whatever it is that we're looking for as a requirement, they'll know that they need that before they can continue on. And then the other side of that is for folks who are not technologically inclined, or for those who still want to come into the office, because I know that there are people out there who will still want to come in and talk to us. We are absolutely capable and able to take those permit applications and input that information anyway. It'll all still go through the system, but I think eventually what we'll see is more people submitting them online and only coming into the office, to pay for and pick up their permits.
So we'll table it tonight. We'll wait to hear on your study. And then we can make a decision maybe in a couple of weeks.
Okay. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, specific questions on the cloud permits, the one that we would like to proceed with, if you have any questions on that, just let us know and we'll get those turned around.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is the Erie Cattaraugus Rails, the Trails Resolution. I see Deb's here. And I'm going to ask Deb to come up to the mic if she would. Thank you for coming tonight, by the way. I know you had a busy night scheduled. If you could, yeah, I need you to talk into that. So if you can, there you go, talk right into it.
Okay, can you hear me?
So online they can hear you as well.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I'd asked Deb to come tonight just to clarify some things and details that we have for the resolution and things that we would like to make sure that gets accomplished when this resolution gets finalized. It is all of our intent to make sure this goes off protecting the gun club and the people that are affected and the people that want to use it. So that's our intention, and to make sure we represent everybody. And
that's ours too, obviously.
Right. And we had a nice discussion on that today, and we just wanted to get it, in the minutes on record that there are certain things that if we put in the resolution that you agree with before we do it. And I don't know, Chuck, if you wanted to go through that list or.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Since you and Bridget worked on it all day.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things is privacy. And we've spoke about fencing, we spoke about shrubbery, where is the, ECRT on putting fences up? And how do we determine and what properties?
So what a resolution of support does is that allows us to get access to funding for design. And we have 2 or 3 really great design firms out there that were ready and willing to come and work with us once the funding is in place. And once the design firm comes on board, the idea is that everybody has a voice. All stakeholders have a voice. So the design firm and ECRT would, walk up and down the corridor, analyze all of the situations that exist, work with a gun club, have conversations with everyone, make sure everybody's involved. Everybody from the town board to the fire department, to the highway department, to businesses, everybody gets a say in what they would like to see on this trail, because it's a community trail. It serves the community. So the design firm would then go back and maybe put together a 40% design, come back with that. Everybody gets to sit around a table. They look at this design. Oh, I'd like to see the trailhead not there, maybe over there. I'd like to see something different with the traffic situation. Gun club may have a different situation, different idea about what they would like for whatever mitigation they need. So it's a back and forth a couple of times until we have a design in place that everybody is satisfied with. That's how that works.
But there's nothing in the resolution to say that you will do it. You're saying that you're going to get with the residents and the town board and so on
Right.
and so forth, but, you know, to address this, but it doesn't say what you're going to do. So, I mean, is there a way that we can put in the resolution that
Well, it's our intention to listen to and work with residents so that their concerns about privacy and safety are addressed.
and
and I think
I
that's
love
in the
your
resolution.
intentions, that's for sure, but
Right.
I just, you know, can't we put something in writing in this resolution or get on the record that says that, you know, we will put fencing.
Well, not
uh,
necessarily fencing, it could be shrubbery, it could be
Could be
berms,
shrubbery.
but that's really up to a discussion with the resident and the design firm and us when we get to that point.
And I think, I mean, for me, and we unfortunately, there were some emails, we haven't had a chance to speak about this, but our decision is to provide resolutions of support or not, right? And so our support is conditioned upon ECRT, ECRT is what you call it, yeah. ECRT doing the what we would like to have happen to make us comfortable to provide the resolution of support. So the current text in here is that the town of Aurora supports the development, you know, ellipses, provided that ECRT will continue to work with the town of Aurora and neighboring landowners to mitigate safety and privacy concerns as much as is reasonably possible. And also with the town of Aurora and the West Falls Conservation Club, maybe that should be society,
Right.
to ensure the long-term continuation of this valuable community organization as it has historically operated. So for me, right there, what that means is we're providing this resolution of support, provided that ECRT does exactly what Deb has just said they were going to
But
do.
what is exactly? You
Right.
know, why can't that say, when you say that you give support, why can't it say, you know, which may include without limitation, building fencing or planting shrubbery to serve as screens? Why can't it just say what you're going to do instead of?
So if you'd like to add, I don't think I have a problem with that. We'll continue to work with the town of Aurora and neighboring landowners to mitigate safety and privacy concerns as much as is reasonably possible, comma, which may include inter alia, shrubbery and fencing, comma. That's fine with me. I mean, that's okay.
And that's your intent, that's the
Between you
intent.
Whatever, yeah, whatever
To use it-
mitigates. I mean, it could be,
I'm sorry, what?
It
To
could be
use as
fencing,
screens
it could be a
between the
berm,
users
it
and-
could be-
and adjacent properties.
Right. It could be a berm, could be fencing, could be shrubbery. So I really don't think that text changes it, but if you're more comfortable with that, I personally don't have a problem with that. I don't know how the other board
Yeah,
members.
that's
feel.
fine. That's fine. And it works for ECRT, as you're now known. Now, the other issue, Chuck, if I can jump ahead just a little bit, we also wanted to limit use of the trail, which is something we discussed, that home use would come into play on motorized vehicles and snowmobiles and
Right.
things of that nature. So we would also like to add a line that says, provided that the trail is not to be used by motorized vehicles, snowmobiles, and horses at this time.
okay.
We want to see the trail before we give any sort of clearance to horses. We have our concerns. If we're gonna have bikes and joggers and.
I understand.
little
No,
babies.
it's,
Yeah.
but we are a multi-use trail. So sections of this 27-mile trail will be open to horses. Sections of this 27-mile trail will be open to snowmobiles. But if the town of Aurora does not feel that snowmobiles are appropriate in the town of Aurora, then we would not have snowmobiles in the town of Aurora. And I've already assured a couple of residents that that's the case. So if
So
you want
don't
to
you
put
feel
that
we
in
should
the,
put that in there?
sure.
And horses, as
Well,
Councilman
horses,
McCann.
there are some trails, I'll just put this out there. There are some trails that have a double corridor. They have one for bikes and walking and wheelchairs, and then a separate trail adjacent to it specifically for horses. So that may be something in the future that you would entertain. I have no particular.
I think, I mean, I don't have the problem with horses, but I may be in the minority on this one. I mean, I think we're a horse town and these trails have traditionally had multi-use. So I don't know of any problems that where a horse is, you know, gone
It
off the
doesn't
trail.
appear
or
wide
been an
enough.
issue,
I-
but
Is
I'd
it
like-
wide enough
yeah.
to do a horse and?
I'd like to see it. I mean, if what you're talking about is possible, then that's great. But I know when Knox
Probably
Farm
not
opened, there were,
initially, certainly not initially. We just wanted,
Yeah.
just like a regular design for
If
When
it
Knox
could be-
Farm started
pedestrians and
yeah,
wheelchairs.
if it could be
and
designed properly
children
and safely, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I mean,
Exactly.
who's gonna clean up? Who's gonna do the cleanup and all that other stuff? That's, I guess, one of your
I
questions, you
know,
know?
I know,
Yeah.
So
I know.
that would be probably something In the future, you'll be
Mhm.
looking at, right?
Correct.
Okay. Right now, we'd be satisfied with no horses.
At this time.
I mean, that could be something,
this
maybe
time.
if the trail was modified to accept them and he had a plan that we could,
Right. I mean, that
Yeah.
could be something in the future.
right
We do
now, I
have
mean,
a
the
contingent on
part
our
that I
board.
walked is not wide enough. for
that's what I was just gonna
Probably
say. I
not.
gotta
I
say,
mean,
there's gonna be spots in there.
It's not been evaluated for horses. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Yeah.
We do have an individual on our board who is a horsewoman who is rallying for horses on sections of the trail. So we shall
still-
see.
I don't know, putting it in the resolution at this point, I think it should be evaluated for horses because they're not typically utilizing the paved portion of it. They're
No, they
utilizing the
would-
side portion. So if it is wide enough.
As
in
long
those
as it's
areas-
evaluated, if we can word it that it's in my.
To be evaluated in the future, just put it that way.
In the future, at
Right,
this
if
time,
that's in the
no
resolution.
horses are allowed.
Correct.
So-
Okay, that's
But
fine.
it can be reevaluated.
Of
and
course,
Maybe even
Of course.
early stages, we can have it in the
I
plan.
think
so
the
that we can
design firm,
evaluate it.
when they're on board taking a look at this and everybody has a say in what's going on, you can take a look at that and go, oh, this really doesn't work for horses, or
Yeah.
gosh, maybe this section would. I mean, I'm not the designer.
Yeah.
But so-
My worry would be you've got a horse going one way and a dog, someone walking their dog the other way and a dog gets barks.
There's, if you've ever, I don't know how many rail trails you've been on, but there's a rail trail in Victor, the Victor Mendon Trail. And if you go through the Victor section of the trail, it's all paved, it's all very nicely done, very finished, very polished. And then you hit Mendon. And Mendon wanted 2 trails. So they have a trail for walkers and hikers and bikers and whatever. And then they have a trail for the horses. And it's a line right there. There it is in Mendon. So
Yeah.
there are some trails that have horses. I don't know.
So text here, after the end, historically operated, comma, and also that snowmobiles and other motor vehicles will not be permitted.
At this time.
At this time.
Well, snowmobiles and motor vehicles, I think we can
Oh,
just,
that's
yeah,
it. I was-
yeah.
it's horses that were,
horses, right.
So I'm just saying through the text that we can use, and also that snowmobiles and other motor vehicles will not be permitted and use, but I mean, how do we even put this? Not use by horses, but.
you just add horses and not permitted, and then horses may be evaluated in the future. Does that make sense? That lawyerly enough?
And also that snowmobiles, other motor vehicles and horses will not be permitted at this time.
Well,
Yeah, there you go.
The only problem is that we have snowmobiles in there at this time, but
Okay, as far as, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but obviously we're going to want, if we need a police or ambulance response, there's obviously is going to be an exception there.
Mhm.
But
I was going to say
Well, of course.
ATVs
I'm
for
concerned about
maintenance
limiting every single
purposes.
thing Today.
Yes.
I've read, I know we're doing a leap of faith here because I think the biggest concern that we've heard on both sides is the people that live near it, that want it, say, hey, when we contact Aggregate, they get right back to us, they fix this, they did this, they did that. And on the other side, a lot of people, there's other concerns, but a lot of people say when we try and get a hold of them to discuss it, they're never here. They're never
That's-
around. I know you shake your head, but
Mhm.
people say that. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. So it's kind of a leap of faith and to limit every single thing right now without having a plan. I'm willing to take that leap of faith. I'm willing to go into it and see what the plan looks like. And we could say, holy cow, horse would be great because it's a good 5 feet over in this area. Because it's not one trail. It's one section of
It's a-
land that has, what's the width typically?
I knew you were going to ask that and I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
thought it was like
quite wide.
28 feet or something like that.
That's the whole,
30 feet
that's
from
the whole
center.
width of it, Jim. That banks up there in that area where the rail bed is raised up, I'll say 8 feet high off of there. That's banked up, and that
Right.
actual level area, I really don't think is more than 12 feet.
Yeah, so this is the concern that I'm wondering if maybe, without speaking for you, Chuck, is to the heart of it, is that we do the resolution of support today without any reservations, and then you're working with the community, you show a plan, and we have concerns about the plan, we just say, our funding says we gotta put in
No.
so what, I guess the concern is when a resident who's opposed to it, you said everyone's gonna be happy, not everyone's gonna be happy, as you know. But when there's a concern, how are we as a board going to be assured today that a year from now, that concern is going to be addressed, and how can we address it as a board without nitpicking every single thing in the resolution? What are your thoughts on that?
You mean once a design is in front of you?
The design in front of you, ultimately, it's going to be
Well,
accurate.
what
That's going to make that
happens?
decision, right?
Well,
Ultimately,
residents make that decision, you make that decision, businesses make that decision. So it's like maybe the design firm comes through with a 40% design. And at that point, you look at it and you go, oh, that should be changed. I'd like a fence here. I like a berm here instead. So all those things are under consideration.
who ultimately says yes or no for a fence.
It would be between the design firm and ourselves, I guess.
So, I mean, ultimately, you are making that decision. A homeowner may say, I want a fence, and the fence fits, and you could say no.
But the likelihood of doing that would be, you know, if somebody insists on a fence and they absolutely have to have it.
Right, Jim, and I think with the text that we currently have, right, with this, as much as is reasonably possible. So we're not deciding that, we're deciding whether we give our support and what conditions we're placing on that. And I think by putting that condition on there, with it as much as reasonably possible, if someone wants to build a 40-foot concrete wall next to the trail just because they don't want the trail there, right, that shouldn't then pull our support in the resolution.
Right.
But we do want to make sure that the ECRT is going to do everything that they're saying right now.
You want to
So,
hear from everybody. You want to
Yeah.
hear from all of the adjacent landowners and what they want and what their expectations are. To fulfill everybody's expectation is a pretty high order, I think.
And I think Chuck only had, or you had some reservations, and I think we're pretty close to getting through your list.
I think we are. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I agree with Jim that we should just let this resolution go as is. I think we have the wording pretty darn close. But I.
Yeah, I was in a way saying it argumentatively that the name, I like the resolution. I like the changes that you want in there. I'm happy to do
okay.
that.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
sorry
I
if
thought.
I wasn't unclear, if I was unclear, but I guess that ultimately if a neighbor says, well, hold on a second, I thought I was going to get a fence. All I want is a 4-foot fence, and they keep saying no. What is our recourse as a town board?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I know you don't think it, but I guess that's.
We
the
don't
question.
really.
And I'm just using that as
recourse.
an example. What is the, do you have an ombudsman, somebody that can go between you and the board and things like that? Do you have something where?
We'd be in discussion with it all the way down the line with you. So there shouldn't be any surprises when the design is done and finished.
So it's an ongoing partnership.
Yes, absolutely. It's an ongoing discussion, ongoing partnership.
And we're not trying to be unreasonable at all. We realize, we know that some people, just as you say, and as Luke said, that they're going to ask for the moon and the stars. We get that, and we're on your side.
I can
We
give
just
you an
think that
example
to have some of this
of what's
in the
going on in a
resolution-
different municipality right now. Okay, I can give you an example. So there's a different municipality on the corridor where we have some residents who want fences, and they want tall fences, and they want fences that wrap around, and they want all kinds of this and that. We don't even have a design firm on board. Actually, we do, but they haven't presented the full design. The design firm, I know, is going to come forward with fences are interesting, but they don't last as long as, let's say, Norway spruces, if you plant those, and they provide a very thick, enduring barrier, which would be a much better design for this particular section of the trail. They're going to come forward with that idea. Now, whether the residents are going to appreciate that or not, I'm not sure. There's also with fencing, you could have one person with a fence here and then no fences, another fence, different kind of design, and then a different design here, and then it looks like broken teeth all the way down the corridor. And you could have fences for the full 27 miles, but not everybody has the same fence. Some are high, some are low. And then you have graffiti coming in, and you've got, breakdown of some of the materials in the fences over time. And it just becomes, this is what the design firm has told us in this other section of the trail. So that's just an example of where design discussion comes into play.
And I think that's,
yeah.
go ahead.
I just say, as long as we have a seat at the table
Oh,
and
absolutely.
we have the respect
Yeah.
and you're going to listen to us because we're going to listen to the residents
Mhm.
again, we're just trying to protect their privacy.
Privacy and safety,
And-
the two most foremost concerns about when a trail is built anywhere at any time, always.
And I think with the text that I read before that we have here in this is what we're saying is that we support this, provided that what Eckert is saying happens. As soon as that does not happen, then our support goes away because they have not met the condition that was in here, which is provided that Eckert will continue to work with the town of Aurora and neighboring landowners to mitigate safety and privacy concerns, right? So that's why I think with our ability is what we can do as a board, right? We realize the value of the trail. We also realize that there are neighboring landowners who have safety and privacy issues. And I do think that our decision here is if we pass this resolution of support with these conditions, we are saying then, we want you to go forward. We want you to work with the design company, but we want you also to take care of those people who live next to the trail. And so I think we've hit that spot here, and it allows Eckert to go and then receive the grants and then hire a design firm. And so we can move forward with this. And I think that the other thing we have to mention for anyone in the audience is that you have entered into a legally binding contract with the West Falls Conservation Society.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yep.
So that concern, as far, not everybody loves the end of negotiations. I'm sure you gave up stuff, they give up stuff, but at the end of the day, came to an agreement, which is good. And I think that Eckert has also showed good faith there that they'll continue to work because that's probably the biggest concern along the trail is in the town of Aurora and can have the funds to continue to deal with those other concerns as we go. If soon as that stops happening, our resolution really doesn't have it's no longer a positive resolution.
So are we good with the changes that are made?
So let me read what we've
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
written here today, right? So the
And I want to make
whereas
sure you're
is-
okay with the change or the
I'd like to hear
resolution.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the whereas part of this is as was published. Were there any concerns with the whereas parts? No. So when we get to the therefore be it resolved, the town of Aurora, the town of Aurora supports the development of the rail bank portion of the Buffalo-Pittsburgh Railway in the town of Aurora into a multi-use trail by Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail, Inc., period, provided that Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail, Inc., again with the punctuation, will continue to work with the town of Aurora and neighboring landowners to mitigate safety and privacy concerns as much as is reasonably possible, including, inter alia, berms, fences, and shrubbery, and also with the town of Aurora and the West Falls Conservation Society, which is a change we made, to ensure the long-term continuation of this valuable community organization as it has historically operated, and also that snowmobiles, other motor vehicles, and horses will not be permitted at this time, period. That's the end.
Yep, I like that with just two minor other things. One thing that has come up many times is drainage, and I know you're going to take care of it. But the drainage part of it is, as I understand it anyway, that came from just debris blocking the culverts underneath the trail bed.
Well,
or
there's
the
a
rail bed.
long history of this being a problem for a lot of
Yes,
residents, a
yes,
long,
but I
wet
quite sure
history.
that the water that backed up on the resident's property was just from debris that
Mhm.
blocked that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't know if we need to put something in there saying that culverts will be kept cleared. But I don't know. That
Well,
would
it's
be
our
one thought. And then the only
intention
other thing
that
is,
any of the drainage issues that happen to be on the corridor or involve the corridor will be addressed again with the design. The design will come through and go, okay, we're
Yeah,
replacing this.
I
we're
get
replacing
that.
We're
I get
replacing
that.
so that
Yeah.
won't be an issue any longer.
but I'm just throwing it out there. Do we need to put that in there
Drainage issues will be addressed, provided that drainage issues will be addressed as part of the design.
as part of the design? Sure.
Well, where
Yeah.
it occurs, because there's some drainage issues that have nothing to do with our
Yeah, it-
corridor.
no.
They're not even adjacent to
That
it
area is the
in that same
responsibility.
neighborhood.
Drainage issues that are a result of the trail corridor
Trail.
will be addressed as
Yeah,
part of the
property
design.
of,
Does that make sense or no? Tell me if it doesn't make sense. I don't.
What was that again?
Drainage issues that are directly impacted by the rail trail. Help me find the word here. I'm not quite there. Will be addressed as part of the design.
We can just put the word resulting drainage issues along with the, when we put in culverts.
Well,
when we
drainage
put the
issues that
words,
involve the
accessible
corridor will be
coverage.
addressed in the design.
There you go.
Drainage-
That was the word I was looking for.
Drainage issues that involve the corridor
We
will be
got a lawyer
addressed in
down
the
here.
design.
Yeah, we're all set.
will be kept clear.
Or drainage issues. Drainage issues due to,
Well, it's due to a lot of things, but that
Right.
involve the corridor, that involve the construction of the corridor will be addressed.
so let's do drainage issues after the end, we'll put a comma, and drainage issues that involve the, what do we call this corridor? Buffalo, Pittsburgh,
Railway.
Well,
I'll do
the
the
former
same
rail
thing.
corridor is this
Yeah.
our corridor, Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail Corridor.
So we'll do, and drainage issues that involve the rail banked portion of the Buffalo Pittsburgh Railway. In the town of Aurora. Will be addressed in the design.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, some of that could be addressed by Erie County Soil and Water, as,
Yep.
as you saw. I mean, if you are willing to send, because it has to come from the town, a letter to these residents encouraging them to contact Erie County Soil and Water. Mark Gaston has said that we do have funds. that
We can
could
talk, we can
address
talk
this.
about that. We'd be more
Yeah,
than
I
happy to
mean,
do that.
that's
if
kind of
you-
apart from
yeah.
us, but I'm
Sure.
thinking, boy, this could be a win-win if they have
Yeah.
Sure.
funds available to really address, because the size of the culverts are quite different. There's smash culverts underneath bigger culverts. It's just a situation that's gone on for decades.
And
And
we,
it's quite a mess.
we haven't gotten the engineers out from the state yet to take a look at this issue, but Dave Gunner and I at least went and looked at the culverts that are downstream from the properties on Old Glenwood Road. And his opinion was that they're large enough to handle expansion at the rail. So if the engineers, that may be a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the very last thing was to keep your dogs on a leash.
So
We have-
Supervisor Bach and I talked about this briefly. I don't think the town has a law yet. So I
Oh,
don't
we
know if we
do.
Don't we
can,
have a leash?
you
law?
have a law? The
Yeah, we have a
rail-
We have a
law,
leash,
but
we have a
put-
leash
we have
law.
Leash law, but not a
signs- we
pooper
have
scooper
signs
law.
on the corridor
Okay.
that's open that say, keep your dog on a leash.
Okay.
We're using that right now on open sections of the corridor.
We don't have the
We-
pooper scooper law. I don't think.
Okay. Now the cat's out of the bag. It's gonna be like the
So,
open container law.
Maybe in the design phase, you have to put a sign up. I mean,
Yeah.
people should just know they,
Right.
but when you're out in the woods and in a trail, they might not, and that's,
Yeah.
that could be an issue, but
That's,
I guess we
That's
can't
all.
fix
We have
everything.
signs on the other open sections of the trail that say, keep
Yeah.
your dog on a leash.
Can't fix
It's not a
everything.
big deal. We
There's
can-
very nice signs on on other like sort of effort type trails, which say respect your neighbor's privacy,
Yep.
keep your dogs on a leash, all that sort of
All
stuff.
that,
And
yep.
people are not there they're just there to go east, west, north, south, enjoy it. So I like the signage that's already up
Yep.
there in some of the places. So that's more of a design issue, but I do appreciate having those.
Yeah, okay.
My biggest concern tonight for bringing you here is I just wanted to make sure our citizens were protected, their privacy was protected.
Mhm.
You agreed with what we were going to put in the resolution, and then we all have it on record and in the minutes. And I do appreciate you coming. I know last minute, and I know you had other things going on.
That's
So
okay.
thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
just to add there that this has been a long road, and I know it has for you and the other volunteers in the organization. We thank you for your dedication to the
Oh, you're
community because we know how much you've put into it.
I
And,
think it's just such a wonderful asset for the communities along this corridor. I grew up in the South Towns. And I just feel that this would be a nice, quiet economic generator for some of these communities, particularly some of the other communities on the corridor. And it's just, it's a valuable asset, I think.
Well, thank you.
So.
Thank you, Deb.
So are we good to put this on the agenda as and you can read it again?
I'll read it when we do the,
Okay,
the motion.
all right. All right, let's go to code red then.
Yeah, so we've had this on there for a couple of times. One of the big issue was that we had to get a couple of different quotes, which was difficult because you have to listen and to the whole presentation and then receive them and everything. We have looked at a couple of different options, but then Code Red is now on the state contract system. And so the rates that we're looking at here would be pushed through some sort of software system that they have. And we had agreed earlier that we like the Code Red solution want to move forward. So in order for them to put that proposal through the system, the decision that we have is, do we want a 1 year or a 3-year commitment? I think personally 1 year, so we can try this out. I mean, it's only a 5% discount if you take it for 3 years. So I would suggest that we do 1 year with Code Red. We propose that to the village for their next meeting on Monday. If they're okay with that, by that time, we should hopefully have an intermunicipal agreement that we can enter into with them, next time we have a meeting. So where they take the cost proportional to the population, which is about half and half. And then we move forward with it.
So we're looking at the $6,965.
Yep.
For the 1 year, right?
Sounds right. Yep. 1 year.
Oh, I think I agree with you on the 1 year. Try it out, see how it works, test drive it a little bit. But we do need to also develop a policy and its implication.
Yep. So I think our policy is we don't use it. I would recommend that when they, obviously it's not going to be June 1st. I would almost think that we ask for them to do the proposal from August 1st. But what the representative did say is that when we do sign the contract, that allows them to open up their database of different policies that they've put together. And they do work with us on trying to come up with a policy. So we need both between us and the village, it's basically, we'll have one super administrator, which will be the supervisor, and then they'll have their own administrator with their own policies. Whatever they do is on them. And then we have our own, whatever we do with us. So we can put them together when it's the police, when it's something else, but basically that we'll have our separate systems. So by the time we start in the beginning of August, then we would hopefully have sort of our social media policy, because it's going to go on Facebook. Is it not going to go on Facebook? And we'd have our rules as to how we publish. As Dave Gunner's out, we can make fun of him a little bit, and we don't want to make sure we want to have
well, it's just like
pothole on a county road, not a town road.
but then when it comes to Shane, you don't want him to have to.
Yeah, Shane has to make his own
permission
rules
to use it,
Yeah.
So we just have to come up with some rules so it doesn't get abused, but the right people are using it.
And I think for you, it's
We would probably only use it in extreme emergency situations.
Yeah.
To do the reverse calling and notifying certain groups or certain areas.
and that's whatever policy you come up with. I think as far as we're concerned, we just give you your account access, and then you come up with that policy as to what you want to do. I think.
Thanks for all your work on this, Luke.
Yeah, it's a long road, but that's how it works, right? So I will ask for that to come through for 1 year, and then we'll have it up for a vote 2 weeks from now, and hopefully
So
have
we
the
don't need
village
to vote on
approval.
it tonight.
No,
We're gonna wait to hear from the village.
they wait from the village, yeah. But when we had spoken to them, they were fine with either option, so we'll just get it to them. Yep.
Okay, anything else for the work session from the board?
That was enough, I think, wasn't it?
I did one quick thing I just want to bring up to everyone is I spoke to our architects today regarding the pool bathrooms. And we have a proposal in front of us from Nussbaumer and Clark of $2,500 to locate and do a survey of all the underground utilities which we need to tie into. I just want to let everybody know that that's coming. We really don't have a whole lot of choice because we have to know where the water line is, where the
Sewer lines.
sewer line is, and so on and so forth. We have to know, or we certainly won't be able to put out a bid that's going to be accurate. So I just want everybody to know that.
But that's not tonight. That's just coming down the pike at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Everyone good? We'll go into our regular meeting then. Tonight we have two public hearings. The meeting out with, and this one is on the adoption of the local law, chapter 116. And we'll start this public hearing. First of all, Chuck, do you want to describe what that is or not? Chuck, you want to describe what 116 is? Or not?
Well, this is the one where, is this, we're going from B1, B2 to C. Yeah, this is a local law to revise all the zoning issues that we've had, which was originally a B1, a B2, and an I district, which is now changed to C1, C2, and C3, just to have some uniformity. And we also put in there the intent of that district and changed a couple of the uses around, but made it, I think, a little more user friendly. Luke and I did a lot of work on it. And then after that, Liz and Martha and Tim Stroth, we put a lot more work into it. That's what that refers to.
Okay, then we'll start the public hearing at 7:39. If anyone is interested in speaking on this, I ask you to come up to the mic and give us your name and address. Looks like nobody. Going once, twice. Then we'll close that public hearing at 7:40. And then I'll ask you to talk about local law, chapter 65.
65, which is just some rules and regulations for Liz. She could get into that a little bit more than I, because it's really not a whole lot that pertains to the specific construction of it. Just is fun stuff for her.
Well, fun, sure. It doesn't address necessarily construction code, but it affirms the New York State Uniform Fire and Prevention Codes, which include the building codes. And it also spells out all of the activities of my office. So it is building permits, it is violations, it is construction inspections. There are a few more than what we typically do now, but they're all manageable. It includes our record keeping responsibilities. It also includes, it states the fees that we receive. And so there's a lot of pieces of our job that are spelled out in this chapter. It's been a long time since we updated this chapter, so there's a lot of information in it, but our office has been doing all of this work. It just hasn't been reflected in our code. So now we're up to date with the New York State Code Enforcement Program, and as stated by the Department of State, and hopefully we won't have to make major changes going forward, just tweaks here and there.
Thank you.
And we'll open this public hearing at 7:41. And if anyone would like to speak on this issue, please come up to the mic, give us your name and address. Nobody? Okay. So then we'll close the public hearing at 7:42. And any discussion relative to the board on this?
Not
Thank
for
you,
me.
Liz. I guess, yeah.
We're ready to roll.
I would, Martha, when are we able to cast a vote on this?
Yeah, June 17th or later.
Earlier than June 17th would be the latest.
No, June 17th is the earliest.
Oh, the earliest,
Good,
okay.
yes.
Have we heard from, are we waiting on the county
We're
or?
waiting on the county.
Okay. Right, so June 17th, but I would just say thank you to all the people involved. All the work you guys did, and And it's not easy. Code is not easy.
It's
And-
riveting, isn't it, Liz?
And it's probably not the last time we'll have to address something in the
not.
code, but thank you guys and girls and everyone that did what they did. Next, we have the approval of the May 23rd, 2022 work session and meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Number 3 is audience. It's an opportunity for anyone in the audience to address the board on any items that are on the agenda. Quiet audience tonight. Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. We have none. New business, I think we have to add one item, and that would be the Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail resolution, correct? Martha, that's the only thing we need to add. So I need a motion to add that to the agenda for R.
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
second? Second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. So new business, we have a rezoning of 4479 Transit Road. And we had spoke about this at the work session. It's a single family residence looking to do in-law apartment. And they're looking for rezoning. We're referring this to the planning board. So I need a motion to do so.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion?
I'm just going to ask the obvious dumb question. It repeatedly refers to itself as being Orchard Park. I did look up the property and it's this side of transit. So that Orchard Park, New York designation is only determined because that's where they get their mail from, I presume.
That's their mail.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have a request from Martha to consider the rezoning application fee from $35 to $150, which was recommended in the work session. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Jim, second,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have the special use permit for 612 Buffalo Road, and I think we agreed to table this to do a site visit. So I need a motion to table.
So
I'll make them.
also, if we could, if Jim, I don't know if you know the supervisor, reach out to Elma just to let them know this is going to be, I know they didn't respond last time, but let's at least.
Yeah, yeah, we did. Remember, we did, yeah. So I will reach out to Elma again to see if they have any thoughts on it, but
So moved.
motion by Luke. Did you say?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. All right. Next, we have the temporary use permit for the polo at Max Farm. And do we have anyone online, Liz, for that? I didn't, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The guest house has a representative on there if we needed anything, but I
Oh.
think,
Mary
yeah.
Ann is on the phone if
Oh.
you had anything
Oh,
you
okay.
wanted to ask her, but if you don't.
Does anybody have any questions? I don't. I
No, I think we're good.
We're all in good shape, so tell her thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And good luck.
We appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the temporary use permit for the polo?
So move.
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that's carried. Next, we have the software request from the building department, and I think we agreed to table that. So I have a motion to table the building department software.
I make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion?
The discussions, we're just tabling it to the next meeting.
Yeah, we, I think we're tabling to get a study, if you're ready by next meeting, of what our permits are in relation to other towns, and if there's any, do we need to raise them or whatever, and that could maybe offset some of the extra costs of the implementation of this software. Any other questions? All in favor?
I,
Opposed, and that is carried. Next, we have the Justice Court Audit Resolution, and this is where the Unified Justice Court action requires the town and villages justices annual provide their court records and dockets to the auditing board of the town, and that such records be examined and entered into the minutes of the board proceedings. And then we have to do a resolution. So the resolution is, whereas section 2019-A of the Uniform Justice Court Action Act requires every justice of a village or town to submit his records and docket to the auditing board of said village or town. And whereas section 2019-A of the Uniform Justice Court Act requires that justice court records shall be examined and audited by said auditing board or certified public accountant. And now therefore be it resolved that the audit and an examination of the records of the Aurora Town Justice for the year ended December 31st, 2021 was performed by the auditing firm of Justice Malecki. And be it further resolved that the findings of said audit and examination were presented to the town board of the town of Aurora. Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Wait a second.
second.
Second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Next, we have the early voting polling location lease agreement. And this is for the primary election, June 18th, 2022 through June 26th, 2022. And early voting and primary election, August 13th, 2022 to August 21, 2022. And a general election, October 29th, 2022 through November 6th, 2022.
What is the August one? Do you know?
I'm
That's
sorry.
Congressional and state
Special-
senate.
Special election primary, yeah.
And the amount of the rent for us is $900 per election. Do I have a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. H. This is from Tony Rosati. He hereby submits his resignation for the town of Aurora ZBA effective today, June 1st, 2022. He's moving out of town. And he enjoyed and appreciated working with the board. He was at just about every meeting, was a great asset to the town. We're going to miss him. But I'm going to have to ask for the motion to approve his resignation.
Regrettably, I make that motion.
Motion by Joe. Wait a second.
I can second, and maybe we want to think about notifying Supervisor Ketting over there that Tony's coming down his way.
Second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and it's carried. And then I got a letter from Nancy Burkhart. She she is the alternate right now, and she'd like to take over the position that Tony held. So I need a motion to appoint her to the remaining time that Tony had, which was to December. And then we would have to reorg, appoint her again. or if that's the person you wanted.
Do we need another alternate, or
And we'll need another alternate.
do we want to do another paper thing, or how do we just Facebook it? What do we think?
I don't know.
We haven't asked anybody yet.
Yeah.
I just got this from Tony and Nancy jumped on it, so. So do I have a motion to appoint her to fill Tony's term, which ends 12/31/2022?
I will non-regrettably make that motion.
Motion by Joe
I'll second.
and second by Chuck. Any discussion?
I just want to add, I did talk to Stephanie Morgan, the other alternate for the ZBA, and her exact words were Nancy is way more qualified. She's the best choice. So there's no hard feelings from the other alternate.
And I talked to Paul, the chairman, and he agrees that she's a good fit for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have to approve the retirement reporting resolution for myself, Dave Gunner, Martha Librock, Robert Galler, Edward Snyder, Bridget Maloney, and Joseph McCann. I need a motion to approve as listed.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Next, we have K, the pool heater bid results. Looks like Great Niagara Mechanical was a low bidder at $39,745. Anything you want to say on that?
I just want to comment that their bid came in with all the little specifications and details that we asked for, and a very thorough bid. And on top of that, it was a low bid right in there about where we had hoped it would be. So
Do they don't have a contract, so are we just accepting the bid, or Arthur authorizing me to sign a?
We'll accept the bid for now, and
Okay.
then we'll have a contract drawn up.
So the motion would be accepting the bid for Greater Niagara Mechanical for the pool heater. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that is carried. Next, we have the door, main door replacement at the Aurora Community Pool. And the low bidder was Aurora Door and Window. And at $2,177.50. I have a motion to accept that bid.
I'll move.
Motion by Jim. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion?
So is this the door and the installation?
Yes,
Excellent.
Yes, it doesn't say that, but it
It
does
is.
include the installation. But
the bid spec said that removal and
I mean, it doesn't say it here.
No, it doesn't
It's
say.
a replacement, so. Just want to, you just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. M is a pool use permit for Holland Middle School. And do you want to talk about that at all, Chris, or?
They've been doing this for a couple of years now. Respectful of about 100 there. Already have our staff that's able to. As well.
And the cost is how much?
So,
Their charge.
$87, I believe, is on there.
Okay.
For an hour and a half full time.
And we've done this. And I don't know if we did it during COVID, did we? Did we do it like?
Not in 2020, but we did do it in 2020.
Right. Okay. And no problems, right?
No problem.
Anybody else, any questions? Not, do I have a motion to accept authorize the application of the temporary use permit for the Howland Middle School?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it is carried. Next, we have the application for a temporary use permit. This is for a preschool. And they want to do a picnic lunch and play at Warren Park from 12:30 to 2:30 on June 17th. Just families bringing picnic lunches. And that's about it. We have a motion to authorize and accept that application. Motion by Joe or Jim. Yep, sorry. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Next, this is a request from Chris to hire some seasonal pool staff based on their 2022 rates. Henry Roberts of 585 South Street at $13.60 an hour, and Megan Valentine at 365 South Street at $13.60. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Luke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and that's carried. Next, we have a donation from the senior center, asking the town board to accept a donation of $200 from the Lions Club of East Aurora. This is Donna asking that she'd like the money placed in the TA 1000.90, and the Lions Club used the building monthly for their organization. I have a motion to accept that donation. So moved. Motion by Jim,
I'll second.
second by Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's kind of funny that you gotta accept the donation. You got a motion.
Yeah, what would you could send the
Why
check
wouldn't
back if we said no? Yeah.
I wonder if anyone ever did. Okay, Q. This is the MS4 Stormwater 2021 Annual Report. And I need a motion to authorize the supervisors to sign it.
Make that motion.
Motion by Chuck. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, and it is carried. Now, what we've been waiting for. Luke, do you want to read the resolution with the
Sure.
rail trail resolution?
I think I may have closed what I had. Yep. So I move to pass the resolution in the text as published until the words therefore, comma, be it resolved. And after that, the text, the following text. The town of Aurora supports the development of the rail bank portion of the Buffalo-Pittsburgh Railway in the town of Aurora into a multi-use trail by Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail, Inc., provided that Erie Cattaraugus Rail Trail, Inc. will continue to work with the town of Aurora and neighboring landowners to mitigate safety and privacy concerns as much as is reasonably possible, including inter alia, berms, fences, and shrubbery, and also with the town of Aurora and the West Falls Conservation Society to ensure the long-term continuation of this valuable community organization as it has historically operated. And also that snowmobiles, other motor vehicles, and horses will not be permitted at this time. And drainage issues that involve the rail bank portion of the Buffalo-Pittsburgh Railway in the town of Aurora will be addressed in the design. Adopted the 13th day of June 2022, the Aurora Town Board, James Bach, Town Supervisor.
So I don't sign this. This is just a resolution, so we just adopt it.
I don't know, yeah.
Okay, so that is, you're doing that as a motion then too, okay?
Yeah.
So do I have a second to that
Did I
motion?
have, sorry? Yeah, I'll send it right now.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Second to Joe. Okay, discussion.
It's been a long,
Yeah.
at times battle. But I think that we've come up with a good document that protects the neighbors and that works good for the Erie County or Erie Cattaraugus Rails and Trails. And I'm glad to say that we all work together to come to this mutual agreement on all of this.
I would like to second that. It wasn't an easy process. There's 3 public hearings, a lot of work, a lot of discussion, but at the end of the day, people put in the work and it was well rewarded. And I appreciate everybody's I think we all had something to put in there and we all worked together well. And it was, I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, we don't have anybody here tonight, which says a lot.
Yeah.
Because when we started this whole thing, we had a lot of people who came out, and I think that there were some difficult conversations. Not everybody got what they wanted, but we got to a point where we have an understanding, and I think everybody, there's nobody that's really upset, which is it's always a good end result. I personally think it's going to be a great resource for the community, for West Falls especially, in Jewettville. And I look forward to continuing to work with them because we have a long road forward to try to make sure that everything that they've said tonight and before continues to happen. So.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate the work that everybody and the thoughtfulness that everybody has put into this, rather than just demanding a yes or demanding a no and walking away. But so much thought was put into it. The West Falls Advisory Committee that had 90 people there. And I think, not to minimize it, and I hope I'm not, but at the end of the day, I think people wanted to be heard. They wanted to be heard, certainly in favor or against, but very specifically for some of the people here that this is my concern, this is how I want to see it addressed. And they looked to us to address it. And I appreciate the fact that it did take some time. We did get an opportunity for people to express how they felt. And after the meetings, I did speak with a number of the people that were opposed to the trail. And again, to just say that they wanted to be heard, they wanted to make sure that if there was an issue, it was going to be addressed, and that everyone on the board was going to take it seriously. And I assured them that without a doubt, it was going to be taken seriously by every person on the board. So I'm very confident of that. I'm very happy with this going forward.
I struggled with it at first because I put myself in a position of, would I want this in my backyard, and I'm losing my privacy. And after we went out, we talked to some people, and they said, well, this is going to happen either way. I said, well, if we can get you a fence, if we can get you at the table. And they were just so happy to talk to people and get that kind of reaction, because they just thought it was just going to happen, and whatever happened. So the fact that they agreed to get us at the table, the town board and the residents, and that was my main concern, the respecting the privacy of these people that have lived in the country for years. And what can we do to mitigate their issues? And I really appreciated Deb coming tonight, and I appreciate the work of the board. And as we continue, and we just got to make sure we hold their feet to the fire, and make sure they do what they say they're going to do. And I think in the end, it'll all work out, and it'll be a positive thing for our community. So I think we have to vote on it, don't we? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And it's carried. Okay. Here. Next, we have communications and reports. We have the May 2022 Town Clerk and Building Department. Next, we have business from the board members, and I'll start with Luke.
Nothing other than our what we spoke about at the village meeting, which is we're setting up a no drive July for village residents, where we are getting people to commit to all transportation without a vehicle from any point in the village to any point in the village. So obviously, if you go to the airport, you take a vehicle. Then we can expand that to people just outside the village if they play by the same rules. So Councilman McCann, that would apply to you. Look forward to seeing a lot more bikes and things out there, educating on safety, and trying to keep the gas prices down for everybody else. So
good. Chuck?
I just was hoping Donna was here tonight because her shed is all in place, and I was wondering if it was full or not, but I just got back Friday night, so I haven't had time to speak with anyone to see how full it is already, but
They just started filling.
oh. But that's all.
Jim?
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. It's a nice looking shed too, and it's so nice that the students were able to.
They did a great job.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
out there. And then appreciating that we just passed the resolution. I didn't know that it was relevant during that discussion, but I have a client that lives in Clarence, and she has a $1 million home. And it's not a former rail bed, but in that area, they did put a trail through the backyards of many of these homes. I asked her, and I knew two of her neighbors, so I asked two of her neighbors about it. And she said because she's 80 years old. She said she was concerned about it, but she said, honestly, the people walk by and they're in their own world. They go on their bike and they're in their own world. And this trail is quite literally probably on a corner house, 20 to 25 feet from their house. And I'm thinking that's pretty amazing, that went there, and it's part of the neighborhood right now. So it's a different situation. It's not exactly the same. And I was kind of pleased to see that it's something that is now part of the neighborhood. So. Joe?
I attended a local government training. Paul was there. It was extremely informative. I learned a ton. So they had 4 tracks in which you could participate, and I am just brimming with ideas because they now the rail trail's done.
Let me take a breath.
No, it truly was great. It was an opportunity to talk to in between. You got to chit chat with members of the council, other supervisors, members of the ZBA from other communities. It was great. They talked about comprehensive plans. They talked about zoning. We took that class together, which maybe was a bit not as sophisticated enough for you, but I learned, and it was great. It was a day well spent, and I applaud the what was it called, the West something Southern Tier West. I applaud their efforts. So I got a lot out of it. It was great.
I attended the Memorial Day service at the cemetery with the mayor. It was a great, well attended, great day, good weather, and a great celebration down at the Legion. Also worked with Chuck last Saturday at the Music Fest, and can't wait to hear what Shane says about that. But it seemed like a good event. It was busy. And I just want a special thanks to Bosse's too for building that shed for us. I don't know if, I think they were thanked in the paper and that. And my old company who hauled it down there for donation too. So that's about it. Staff reports. Nothing from Adam from the library? No. Tim? Connor?
Just that our next meeting is next Monday, 7.
Okay. Paul? Chris?
I already called Chuck on this one, but I want everyone to know the hire of Michael Hilfiger was fantastic for the town. He has been just absolutely great at the pool, knows everything, and makes common sense changes. Just something to be aware about too. Chlorine has gone up at about $1 per gallon. I mentioned that earlier. I have a friend who's a chemist, so I'm talking to him about trying to bring those down. Just did staff training too the other weekend with the pool staff, and I also did CPR training for the park staff. We were also contacted by the news. We were going to do a story on staff shortages for recreation. We're an anomaly. We don't have that kind of problem here. So it's good things
Wow.
happening.
Well, that's a good
Yeah,
non-problem to have.
Yes, it is. We weren't able to help out.
they must have a great boss.
Thank you. Shane,
We survived.
I didn't hear any problem. Was there any problems?
The typical toxicated issues that we deal with every event like that. We had a couple of concerning complaints that either we couldn't locate the situation or they were gone by the time we got there. We were busy, the officers were busy, but nothing serious. So.
I noticed they had they had a security, must have had a security firm there this year. I don't know if that
Well,
was something new.
they've had several different firms or attempts over the years. This was probably the most effective one they had. They're a little more intimidating than the past couple outfits that they use, so it was helpful.
Do they pay the village anything for the extra officers? No?
Those doesn't charge that. They're considering it, but there's a lot of events, especially not-for-profit events, that I think should be charged for the overtime that we expend, but that's not. Also, did you talk to Kevin Pierce from baseball?
I have, yes. Joe and I went with the other night.
Okay, any resolution issue with the bathrooms?
And he has assured us that he is going to be locked.
Yeah, he took personal ownership, as I recall, except for he's gonna be out of town. He's gonna assign personal ownership to somebody else. So
They've got 2 keys, so.
Thank you. Liz?
I have a couple of things. First, I want to thank Mike Evans. We had a resident in the village actually who was walking down the street and thought they saw some hogweed, giant hogweed. And Mike is the go-to guy in the town for invasive species, and particularly that one and its danger to residents. And so I asked him to stop by and he took a look at it and he said, no, it's not, it's not hogweed. And it wasn't, he and I and his DEC contact figured it out. It's poison hemlock, which is no better, but is found more in urban and suburban areas than hogweed. So he, on his way home from work one day, dug it out, bagged it up and stuck it behind the highway barn so it could bake in there before he disposed of it. But, I appreciate his assistance in that. And he took care of it for, the residents of our community. Tomorrow is, I'll be out of the office all day tomorrow. I have energy code enforcement training from 8 to 5. It is the second training event that I've had in person since COVID. So that'll be fun. But this is put on by NYSERDA, and it's part of the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program. So there are points that are assigned to the town for my taking that class. It's 200 points that can be utilized in grant opportunities for the town. So I will be there all day tomorrow. I will be checking email if you have any questions. And then the last thing, I will also be out of town, a vacation coming up at the end of this month, beginning on the 24th through the following week, which does include that board meeting. But Bill Kramer will be in the office during the afternoons on all of those days. So we will have full coverage of the office during that time frame. And that's it.
We going anywhere special?
I'm going to Utah,
Nice.
going on a rafting trip.
Cool.
Nice, awesome.
Thank you. I saw Rod, you came in. Rod, do you have anything for us tonight?
No.
Okay. Well, I asked the chairman, he didn't want to talk, so I thought I'd get everyone. I don't think I missed anybody. All right, the motion to approve the abstract.
So moved.
Chuck,
second.
Joe, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
again.
Second.
Joe, Chuck, all